There it is. Good
Yep,
evening,
there it
everyone.
is. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's session of Moon, Mayan, and Cycle of Ceremonies. Some of you may be a little bit concerned about what that means. So just let me give you just a quick little, synopsis of why we called it that. Um, we we want to share with you the teachings of the Mayan ceremonial cycle, and Marsha, that's what Marsha does. So she shares what we need to know about that, and then Grandmother Renee, she shares about the moon cycle we're in, and that information. And myself, I use our Haudenosaunee kind of like our cycle of ceremonies, and I talk about what phase we're in for that. So each time that you come and you listen, what you're getting is kind of like an overview of different things that can help you to understand where you are and what's going on at this time. So we're going to open with Grandmother Renee so she can, do kind of like a quick little opening, but it's so nice to see you all tonight. And let's see what we come up with.
Thank you. Thank you, Gail. So at this time, we also like to share love, peace, kindness, goodness, and what we are given is the word said before all else. And so we begin with giving thanks. And when you look around, you see all these magnificent creation of what the Creator had give us. And that is a sign of love. And so the language that we are used to have all the time was always of gratitude. So we give thanks. And at this time I want every one of you is to give thanks. Give thanks to your environment, to your surrounding, because this is how we raise that vibration of love throughout the world. And so at this time we take that time and put in our minds all the things that we're thankful for. And but most of all, I want you to think of this season. I was just asked by a friend of mine if we could speak for the animals. You see, nature, especially this time of year, is not this isn't normal. And so they asked for us to speak, the grandmothers to speak on behalf of the animals, because in the north the animals are a lot of the animals are suffering because of this, all the people wanting it hot, but the animals are suffering. And so we need to bring this back in balance. So I at this time, can we pray for the cold? Because there's a meaning in why it has to be cold. And we need to pray for the the snow to come, because this is natural flow of life. And so this is at this time I would like all of us to put our minds together to think of those animals and how they are surviving. And they need the coal. They need this in order to be here. And so we give thanks. We think of them and we send out much love. We ask that the water that the water will come in that form of snow and the coal, so that it will take down the virus that man has created. And so at this time we give thanks for this time to come together and think of others, to celebrate this time that we can do something for our environment, so that our children will have a better environment for the future. And so we say, oh, now we good. Yes, I mention this because this is supposed to be bear, the month of the bear, the moon of the bear. This is a time when we are to think of those animals that are resting, just like any one of us. We need that rest, especially our mother. It's like you. You know how tired you get by being on call 24/7. Well, this is what's happening to our mother, the earth. We she needs our help. And because it's bare, the bare moon, it is time when we contemplate, we reflect on what we've been given. And that gift is life. And so we talk about everyone's life. So that bear should be sleeping, but the bear is having a hard time to be in a place where it is cold. Our bodies, a lot of you are feeling it is because the environment has changed. And so we need to bring back the balance of life. You know, many of you say you like it hot. Well, I want you to consider, if it gets hot, there's going to be a lot of virus, there's going to be a lot of sickness, and there's going to be a lot of, as they say, depletion of our soils, everything, especially our water. So think about that, how we need to bring that back in balance. And that bear is medicine. So let's at this time use this medicine, the medicine of wellness and well-being, and adjust the temperature. Then that is our love, so that they will survive. They will be able to have their children and their children's children. But they, most of all, our mother, the earth, will rest. And so I wanted to just bring that forward because everyone has been asking me, can I pray for the animals? Pray for those that that is in that natural flow of life. We as humans, we need to adjust. We need to adjust. If we don't, because you see, it has a purpose in life, that coldness. The the snow has a purpose. But we forget because of our own ego and our desires. We want it now, we want it warm. So think about it. Let's reflect. What would it be if it was hot, like we said? There we would be depleting much of Mother Nature. We would be depleting the future resources for our coming faces and our children. So I just want to extend that love to all creation, to all love, to the love of balance. And I say thank you. Miigwech, and take care. So I turn it over to Marsha.
Okay. Now, hello everyone, and it's so good to have you all here, whether you're with us live now or whether you'll be watching this later. And I thank Grandmother Renee for those beautiful words and just good reminders for us for each and every day, about the gratitudes, but that, there are many things that are struggling right now, things that we maybe don't think about every day because we don't maybe see as much wildlife as we used to. And that's often the case. So, yeah, we need to pray for that balance to return. Um, so, the part that I'm going to share with you has to do with the cycle of the Mayan calendar. And part of why we felt it was important to share this is because this is one of the oldest calendars that has existed. We're talking about like thousands and thousands, like maybe 10,000 years. And it's one of the only calendars that has been ongoing and continues to be ongoing. And so, what this calendar does, it really helps to show us what happens throughout the course of the cycle of a full year in the Mayan, and this Mayan calendar for the Cholquic, it's called, or the Tzolk'in, is 260 days. And why it's that long is because there are 20 energetic forces or Nawals that are related to it, as well as 13 vibrations. And so the 20 times the 13 comes to 260 days, and that allows a chance for all of those day lords to actually make that connection in their cycle, the way it rotates, to be able to come up with meeting up with each of those vibrations. And what's amazing right now is the times that we're living in. Like, it's no mistake that you chose to be born during this cycle of time. And it's just so much bigger than really any of us can even begin to imagine. Astrologically, we have just entered into the age of Aquarius. And so that will last for a period of time. But what's really interesting right now is that the planet Pluto, which is really designated by a lot of traditional tribes as being that planet that has to do with the underworld. It's like the lord of the underworld. It's emerged from its place of darkness, and it's just entered the house of Aquarius. And so Aquarius is that is the sign that really is all about transformation and renewal. It's about growth. And so that this planet of, that carries a lot of the darkness is coming into the light. It's this chance for them to do this connection and this dance. It's a very powerful time. So it's been over 200 years since this cycle has actually been around. And so just with that, and we've got, a full solar eclipse coming up during the month of April, another dance of the light and the dark forces. And we just need to pay attention, I guess. And so part of what this calendar does, it kind of gives you a little roadmap. So you'll know what's happening with the energies and how to work with them. Because all of these 20 Daylord signs, they actually, each of them is connected to one of the 4 directions. And so they carry the teachings and the powers of those 4 directions as we go along. So, and it's about us creating our better relationship with the natural world so that, we are walking in a greater balance and harmony with all things each and every day, not just during times of ceremony, not just times of, special events, but that becomes part of who we are and how we carry ourselves in the world. So when we were together last month, we ended on, it would have been the calendar date that was on January the 25th. And so today I'm just going to quickly review what's happened in that 13-day week of January 26th to February 7th, and then go on to what's happening right now. Because again, it's very important to these astrological times. So on Friday, the 26th of January, we started that 13-day cycle that started with 1 Ach. And so we just came from that path of that total illumination of our path that we're walking in this life. And so 1 Ach has to do with manifesting that spiritual being within us. And so on this day, that person knows where they stand, they know what they stand for, and they're willing to plant their staff of their conviction and intentions. And so the staff, it represents, for some people, it's, can be like a walking stick, it can be like a ceremonial staff, but hopefully it's a straight staff because it helps to connect the sky world with this earth. And so it helps to bring those energetic forces together. And it's also about the bundle. And so those bundles have to do with what is sacred to us, the things that are sacred to us, whether they're things that we use in our everyday life or whether it's just in ceremony. And the walk of that 13-day week takes us all the way through to 13 Khan, which was on February the 7th. So that's just 2 days ago. And that was about bringing us to the place where the full manifestation of the universal energy can be there to help support us and bring us forward. So midway through that 13-day week on February 1st was 7 Kawuk. And that was a beautiful point to be able to purify and cleanse not only ourselves, and the energy that we're going to use is given to us by spirit, but it's also a day for those who have bundles. It's a good day to help to cleanse and purify those bundles in certain ways. And many people have bundles. Many people carry more than one bundle. They may have several bundles depending what work they do. The pipe ceremony bundle would be separate from the sweat lodge ceremony bundle, the sacred items, the healing items. And so some people can have many bundles. And so it's about taking care of them. We don't have bundles to put just on the shelf and, they're not supposed to be there to be collecting dust. They're to be used because they're alive essences and we need to take care of them. So then on February 2nd, a spiritual being that had its initiation 20 days before that and it really called in that essence of like the light beings, calling in those lords of the light, because they're the ones who help to teach humanity and bring that space of higher consciousness, so we can actually learn things and go beyond what we normally understand. So it's time to really like, not just stay with the same old, but to try to learn some new things, to experience new things. And now with that enlightenment that comes, it's a real time to birth new ideas that can come into fruition, that can help with one's own health and healing, but also to be able to help with the unit of the family and the community. And then on February 4th, the universe, kind of with 10 ich, says, I will give you the breath of life. And that's an opportunity then to understand how to use the cosmic energy, because the energies are getting stronger. Many of you who are sensitive to that, you know that. Some of you may not be sleeping as well as you normally do, but it's important to find times to get your rest too. But the spiritual energy forces are here stronger, and it's becoming more manifested. So on Wednesday, February the 7th, was the day of 13 Khan, the end of that 13-day week cycle. And this is where we were meant to learn to use that energy to its full potential, and how to use the elemental powers of the universe that, again, surround us each and every day, but how much awareness or notice do we give to them? And so from this connection, and it's like straight line energy, like coming really from the outer reaches of the cosmos now, we're really getting amped up. So this is where the laws of nature and the laws of the cosmos lie, and they're here to teach us right now. So these are the kind of like big energy forces that are surrounding us. And so it's good to understand, because some days we just may feel it's almost like too much. And but at least you understand what's happening with it, and so you can walk through it. And one of my teachers always said to me too, if there's ever those moments where you're kind of like feeling a little unsettled and trying to understand it all, I always remember, like, take that deep breath and pray. Take that deep breath and pray. And it always helps to bring things down back to the present, and so you can think more clearly again. So the new cycle that we started yesterday, on Thursday, is the 13-day cycle of 1 Kame to 13 Tahash. And so this cycle that we're in right now, it's about a sacred initiation that's beginning. And so it's all about kind of like a death and transformation process, because again, a lot of times for transformation and movement forward to occur, something has to be let go of. And so they decide it's their turn, the Kames, who are the lords of the underworld, they decide it's their turn to initiate the cycle that's going to be completed on February the 20th, which is 13 Tahash. And that's going to bring us to the full potential of it's represented by the obsidian blade. So that blade is able to cut away things, remove things that are no longer needed. And it's all to kind of like take it apart. It might be reformed, but it's asking us to think about what is it that we know in ourselves needs to be transformed at this time. So this is a really key movement of time we're in right now. And so today is the new moon. And this new moon is always a good time for like planting seeds, whether they're your thoughts, your dreams, your intentions, so that you can move towards what it is that you're dreaming, because we're all really trying to dream the best world into being that we can. And so this new moon invites us to set our intentions to find what our spiritual energies are and bring them to wholeness. And because we're talking about like Kame, which is kind of tends to be a sign that sometimes people consider dark, but it's all about transformation. And transformation goes much better if you're willing to transform, if you're willing to let go of something. So again, it can be a time of challenge because, you know, sometimes people aren't quite ready to let go of that thing yet, whatever that might be that might be holding them back. So the spiritual being right now is going to experience and have the opportunity to decide what's going to be the destiny that they want to move forward towards. So as we go through this week, come Wednesday on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, that's the midweek of this 13-day week. And there may be a challenge there because it's going to ask us to get really clear on the destiny that we want. What is it that we are in this game of life and death for? Like asking us really, what is it that we're willing to live for? What are we willing to die for? And it goes on because it's going to be carried forward to our future ancestors. So it's really important about getting clear on what that direction is. And on Thursday, the 15th, is going to be the day where it's the completion of the bundle. And so that bundle then becomes very real and very complete and able to be used for good. And on Friday the 16th, the birthing day happens for what is sacred, what is real. So it's a good day to initiate new things. It might be new sacred objects. It might be a good day to have a ceremony if you haven't for a while and use some of your sacred objects. And on Tuesday, February 20th, is the 13th day of this 13-day week, and it ends with Tahash. And that has to do with communication. It's how we express ourselves, how we share our words, how we are energetically with people. And it's the day to really communicate, like, what are we willing to let go of? You know, what is not serving us anymore? And what are we going to leave to, you know, really have its time for its death, so that you can be filling that space now with something that's going to be more positive and lighter and going to help you on your path. Because I don't think that, if we think about it, none of us really want to continue on with the wars. I mean, there's so much of that going on in the world right now. We don't want to continue with the suffering. And there must be an alternative that we can see, that we can envision, that we would like to pass on and to communicate about. So that obsidian blade on that day gives the power to kind of like really clearly cut away those kinds of things so that you can move forward. And what's going to follow after that, we'll go into that next 13-day week, just so that you have an idea of what's going to come next. And that's going to be the 13-day week cycle of 1 Kawuk to 13 Bats. And this is a very important ceremonial cycle often too, because it has those day lords where the potential for transformation can really take place very powerfully. So Wednesday, February 21st on 1 Kawuk, you have a taste of, again, that Kame, where the lords of the underworld in that last cycle and the lords of the light, they're kind of like doing their dance, you know. And so we can decide to go through a spiritual initiation, a very sacred initiation. So on that day of Kawuk, February 21st, it's a good day for purification to happen. So whether that is through having like a sweat lodge, but Kawuk's all about the water. So somehow using the water to do some kind of a purification. It might be a steam bath. It might be this time of the year if you don't have hot springs nearby. Even here on the West Coast, people do go into the ocean. They do immerse themselves in the waters, and so however you can, and you can use your shower, your bathtub. You could give yourself a beautiful soak in the tub with some lovely herbs, like again from nature, using those things from nature to help to set that space and set that healing modality for you. And then on February 22nd, again, the Lords of the Light, it's going to help us to look back and reflect and connect through so that you get to the end of that 13-day week. Because in the story, we're going to be asked about what we're weaving. 13 bots is all about, we think about it like threads or spider webs. And so each thought that we have, each action we take, even our own dedication to life, to spirit, to Mother Nature, it's like these are creating threads. So they're like strands that we are used to make our weaving. So what kind of a weaving are we making in our life? So hopefully it's a good one, so we can look back one day and say, boy, that was a really beautiful tapestry, we wove, or we are currently weaving this beautiful tapestry in our life. And these are the actions that we're taking to make sure that that carries on. And on Saturday, the 24th, will be the full moon. And that's on the Day Lord of Ich, and that's all about the life force. That's that life force energy. That's the breath of life. And so it's all about movement and that breathing in and that breathing out, and thinking about the relationship that we have with the plants that rely on what we exhale, to make that good oxygen so that we can then breathe that in again. And it's all about those partnerships, all about those connections that we have that we don't tend to think about every day. So on the 27th is that middle point of that week. And this is a place where we can learn to understand the proper use of the energies that we are both acquiring and those that are surrounding us at this time. Because Khan here, it's really the manifestation of that feathered serpent that you've probably heard about. So it allows the aspects of both the negative and the positive to become one on this day. And so the energies become balanced and harmonized for, again, the greatest potential of us to be able to do our work and walk in this world. So on the 28th, 8 Kame, the death process completes on this day for those things that we're releasing and letting go of. So then on the following day, the 29th, that new energy is birth. And if it's the birthing of powerful energies, healing energies, it might be the birth of a shaman, but it's like whatever positive energies that you want to have come into fruition. And so we've been going through different challenges. Now's the time of the birth of the medicine person or the spiritual person. So it's a very powerful week. And that's also the day of the leap year. Again, in times of calendars and events, it's a very unusual time. It's not something we experience every day. On Sunday, March 3rd, that's going to be the day before we get to the 13 bots. And that day is all about looking at our relationships, not just to people, but to our life. And how asking us to really reflect on that, because we need to look at, whether there are the more negative aspects of envy and gossip, the negativity that humans can come up with. It can lead to a real mass entanglement of, things that aren't very nice, whether it be resentments or anger. So it's all about needing to untangle all of that So making, so it's like bringing things to a closure. So if you've got some relationships that maybe need to have some closure on, might be some things of apology, it might be just really understanding that maybe relationship is one that you're not going to carry forward with. So there's that can happen that day, or you can move forward and enter that space of having a more beautiful tapestry or weaving, because that's what we're moving towards on March the 4th. And on 13 bots, that cycle comes to its fullness. All the beautiful threads are woven together by our thoughts, our actions, our emotions, our service to life, how we weave our intentions. We need to reflect on that. And who do we weave with? Because that's often very important. We don't think about sometimes how much impact that has on us as well. So let's continue to be present and mindful so that we can continue to weave the most beautiful life that we all can, because everything that we share this earth with depends on us for that. So let's continue with those prayers like Renee mentioned earlier, and remembering to acknowledge all that we're connected with, because we all rely on one another. So now I'll go for hearing these words. And I guess we'll pass the ball to Gail.
Okay, bear with me as we try to figure out this technology again. Um, but I think before I speak, I think it's important that we tie in the moon cycle to what you have said, because a lot of what I'm going to share ties into what you're sharing. So we need to get that aspect of the moon in first. So I think I'm going to pass it to my compadre over here, and I'll take the last section. But I just want to say one thing, Marsha. I recognize your shirt. You know, I've been looking at your shirt and admiring, because back in the 80s, we were all together as women. We were called the Iroquois Women's Circle back then, and we were making change and opening doors, and getting shot in the back a little bit, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it with everything that we've accomplished to date. So that was one of the series. We had four different events relating to the healing, protecting, nurturing, and awakening the spirit within. And so as soon as I saw that logo, I go, oh, I love that logo. I love that shirt. But more importantly, I love the time that we were in back then. So over to you, Miss Renee. Yeah.
Yes. And I know that a lot of people, I've heard from a lot of people, they're feeling a lot of this energy. And this energy is especially the last few days, you've probably gone through a lot of changes inside your body. And just like Marsha was talking about, it's time. It's time for us to I'm glad you brought that up, 1980. I'm glad the ancestors were with us to do this. Is that we have been getting ready for many years, is to bring that the language of caring and loving and sharing and nurturing. And this is what the Grandmother Moon is all about. Every month she talks about renewing our lives, renewing it, and letting go, letting go. Today I talked to a group of young people, and we did a lot of reflecting on what condition our bodies are in, because a lot of them were having, as you say, they were talking about anxiety, depression, and all these emotions. Well, this is a result of labels, man-made labels. When reality, you are in connection with the universal, You are in connection with what is happening in the world. And because of what is the grandmother wants you to know, 3 days before each changing of the moon, you're always going to feel. And that is that growth for spirituality. It's that growth of becoming, as they say in our way, a true human being. Angwahoe or Anishinaabe, original man, and originally we came from the sky world, and that's why we're so closely connected to the moon and to the stars. We are very much of that relationship. So Grandmother Moon is still working so hard to help us to be well. That's her purpose, is looking at us every 4 times in 1 month. She's looking at us. And so I'm going to just share how that first quarter is, we're new. We have that, we're taking in, absorbing, and then what we absorb, we become full. Now it's time to reflect what needs to let go. Just what Marsha was talking about. That last quarter is letting go of that, so that here we are today is that new moon. This is the purpose of those moons phases every month, and they have a different name, but it's all in regard to self-care, healing, and supporting and bringing back the balance of life. So know that what you have gone through is a part of, you're going to be, as they say, a butterfly. Each time you've gone through that darkness we heard about, you have to come into that light. And only in darkness can you see the beauty of life. You appreciate life. And so this is what Grandmother Moon is. It's so beautiful how she's coming more prominent in our lives. And it's good that the men are becoming a part of this too, because they want to understand why they're feeling this way, why they feel different. That's what I asked the group today. Are you feeling different? And a lot of them put up their hands. They're becoming, I said, you are becoming a spiritual being, because this year is really meant for us to be the growth of being a spiritual being. And so Grandmother Moon is going to really work hard on bringing out those things that not setting right inside you, and so that you can become new. And so what we're sharing tonight is that process of becoming new. And every changing of the moon, a little bit of what we've been programmed to harm ourselves is going to be gradually shedding, just like the trees. The trees are getting ready. And that's what the Grandmother Moon is talking about. And they're probably being confused right now because it got so warm, and it is now affecting. And this is what we need to remind ourselves, that, there could be a shortage of food, whatever is happening out there. And this is the time to start growing food. This is Grandmother Moon. She always very, very powerful in helping us to grow food. How many of you are growing food in your own kitchen? There's medicine, there's plants. And just like today, I talked about how teas, those grass, those plants that you gathered last year, this is the time to start using it, because Grandmother Moon wants you to become new. She wants you to start cleaning the inside of your body. What do they call it? Fasting. Every year we were told that you fast in the fall and you fast in the spring to bring newness. But I was told we need to do fasting more and more because of so much trauma is out there. And we have the ability right now, with the help of Grandmother Moon, to bring that kindness back into us, to let go of all, empty that vessel that was filled with a lot of darkness, just like Marsha talked about, and bringing forth the lightness, the freedom of being who you are. So thank you very much. And that is from Grandmother Moon. She is saying, here you are. I want you to become new today and for the days to come. So the next 3 days, renew your life. Renew your life, and put yourself on that path of, this is what I'm going to do, because Grandmother's going to be with you. You're never alone. And whatever you're going through, She's always there. She's going to be there during the night to caress you and to make you continue this journey. And so I want to say we are very fortunate that we have a grandma looking after us. With all these teaching, we all wrap it up into one big package, and that is self care. So take care, and we'll see you again. And so I'm going to turn it back to Miss Gail.
Oh, well, hello again. So, what is the cycle of life all about? The cycle of life every day, it's to get prepared. And we wonder, what do we have to prepare for? So if we take that time and we listen deeply within, then, our natural rhythm, our natural being shines through. And so this is an interesting time of the year. So my mother, she was what we might call one of those very hard workers, and at a young age, she was already attuned to the cycles because of her lifestyle. So she was a farmer. They were a farmer, and they, had chickens, and they had all of these things to raise. And she would always say, "You have to go to bed with the dark, and then get up with the chickens." And so that was kind of their life. Maybe they were up before the chickens because they knew that at certain times of the year they had more or less work to do. And so we know that the winter is more about uh, having that break, taking that time for deeper reflections. And so, even the chickens had to rest a little longer this time of year because our brain is fed by the energy of surrounds us. A lot of times, that there's a disorder they call SAD, SADD, and it's again a time when we haven't let our body program to the natural cycles. And so there are times when we need to be resting, and there are times when we have that I guess that quest for more in our life. We're busier during the spring and the summer and the fall and the winter. And so some people aren't used to having that break, and so it puts them in a state of fear, because they're not following, what it is that their bodies are telling them to do. So we can put, names to a lot of different disorders that we're facing, but a lot of times it's because we're not acknowledging and we're not understanding, what we need to be doing at certain times of the year. So in our cycle of ceremony, so the reason that I've chose to talk about our cycle of ceremonies is because as we go through our calendar years, um, we have our ancestors have developed, and remember, we were the ancestors, we are the ancestors, because we're going to be the ancestors. And so all of that information keeps getting funneled through us over and over and over and over and over again. And so, we used to be, as people, those types of people who were oratory. So we had to listen, because we had to listen and absorb, listen and absorb, listen and absorb. And the more that we listen, the more that we attended ceremonies, the more strength that we would receive throughout our lives. And I remember going to ceremonies, when you're a lot younger, not quite understanding everything that was going around. And, we were told, just watch and listen, just watch, listen, don't ask questions, because you don't know what kind of questions to ask. So the more you go to ceremony, the more you start to feel what those ceremonies are all about. And that doesn't just apply to our Haudenosaunee ceremonies. It also applies to, other ceremonies that we attend. You have to observe, you have to let your being acknowledge and accept what it needs. And over time, you'll come to a deeper understanding, more than words can ever express to you. So we're entering the time now of water. So in our Thanksgiving address, this is the time of water. So, what does the water of the worlds do? Well, of course, they quench our thirst. I mean, that's just a natural. But water also is our strength. So sometimes you can travel and you can see that, we have the Great Lakes here. We have like water, water is us, water is within. And we can travel to a desert or we can travel to another space and we can realize that, wow, we really need to be lucky that we live where we are because, other places are suffering because of the imbalance or the lack of water. And that kind of like disturbs me sometimes because I hear the stories and I have friends who um, had to live on like 6 liters of water a day, and that was for bathing, that was for drinking, and then they were drinking that water, and their skin was turning silver because of the mining and the corruption of nature around them. And so you hear these stories and you walk into the desert and all of the cactus are dying. And I remember, going, what is going on? Is this healthy? Is this healthy for, the cactus to be dying? And, and it's like that cycle of life. There are times when you have plenty and there are times when you may not have quite enough. And so in that process, it's a give and take process. Sometimes you lose something, and then at other times you gain. So we have like a whole rhythm of water. So how many of you love to go to Niagara Falls, or you like to go to an area where there's that the rumbling of that water, the fall of that water, and you sit there and you just listen and you listen and you listen, and it sounds like voices talking to you because there's this thundering of that water, and for some reason it's soothing. And so when it's soothing to your soul, it's a very powerful healing that we receive. And I remember having this vision once, and I was at the top of the waterfalls, and I kind of looked halfway down, and I saw it must have been tribes from ancient times, and they came out and they looked at me and they were waving at me, come on down. And I'm looking, I'm going, yeah, but you're way down there, way down there, but there's such a beauty, there's such an energy. And I remember sitting under a waterfall and just allowing that water to like do something with my mind, as the water fell and it hits and it soothes you. At first, it can be a little irritating, but after a while, it takes you deep, and it takes you deep into this place. And in this place is a place where I guess you're supposed to be, because you don't end up in places that you're not supposed to be. You're always, I guess, you're always guided to places where you are supposed to be. And I remember after a while, I didn't want to leave because it was so refreshing, to have that waterfall just like doing something with me. And so I know that that water is cleansing, and I know that that water is healing. And so what it does is it takes the opportunity to cleanse and clear your mind and your body, and it's never flowing. So it's like, hey, we've got room here for a lot of people. So why don't you guys just get over here, and like, why don't you just let this waterfall um, be your savior? Be what you need to take you to your next level, to your next step, to your next adventure. So I like to really spend time there, and we have Niagara Falls just like so close to us. And as a child, we lived back and forth across the border, and there was never a time when I didn't want to be around the falls. So you go back and pour forth across that border, and you can never get sick of the falls. It's like, I just feel this energy. It's just so powerful. So that Niagara Falls has a lot of teachings, and it has a lot of I guess stories about why Niagara Falls is where Niagara Falls is. And if any of you ever feel the need to let those tears flow. If you need to let go, you stand under those falls. Well, not Niagara Falls, but you stand in the mist. And that mist is there for you to get that healing. And a lot of people don't know that. They just know that, hey, I'm going to Niagara Falls and I'm just going to take a walk along there because something feels really good. I don't know what it is, but really what it is that mist. It's offering that healing love and light. It's kind of like that fog is a blanket. So this time of year, and we're not really supposed to have as much fog as we've kind of had this time of year, but this time of year, that fog, there's something special about it. It feels like that blanket, because you can walk out and you feel protected. Don't feel like you're ripped open. You kind of feel like it puts you into this cocoon. So that cocoon of healing is so gratifying. So the next time that you are struggling and you don't know where to turn to, turn to that water, turn to the power of the, what you have surrounding you. And I remember also one of my friends really needed some guidance, and so we went to the water. And I lit my pipe, and I'm sharing my pipe. And what I had her do is learn more about that. So, I kind of showed her that, listen, you're not able to see the whole fit picture, but let's feel the picture. So what I had her do is I had her put her hands in the different layers, and then bring that energy from that water, just put them in there, and bringing them at all different levels of that water, and just feel into just bring them around her so that she could feel that healing energy of the water, because every sound that that water makes, and you can hear the rocks, and sometimes it's just kind of like a little ripple, just kind of like a little ripple, and then sometimes it's thundering. Hey, that brings me to something else. That takes me to, yes, the thunder beings, and so that's all part of this cycle. And as uh, Marsha was talking, a lot of what she was saying was resonating about our cycle of the water right now, because the water is playing a dance. So the water comes in forms, many different forms. It comes in steam. It comes in, ice. It comes in mist. It comes in, water. And right now, the water is dancing with the frost. It's taking that dance. And so those thunder beings are there, and they're coming, they're going boom, and they're adding that thundering voice. And what does that do in some? Creates this fear. And I'm going, what the heck? How can you be scared of those thunder beings? They're the most powerful, the most beautiful. Just say thank you that they're here doing their duties. Because there have been many times when you're working with somebody. Oh my gosh, it was thundering, and I was so scared. And I'm going, well, here's why you should consider honoring and acknowledge them. And so fear is an interesting thing. So it's kind of like that dark hole, when that thunder strikes, bam, you could feel something just like waking up inside you. So that's what it's doing to the earth too. It's saying, Mama, here I am, I am here, and I'm doing my duties and helping you the best I can. And so it comes thundering down, and the voice is so powerful. So I want to share with you, one little, and I've had visions, and I know people don't maybe understand sometimes that people have visions, but let me tell you something I saw. And so maybe you won't be afraid if you see something similar. So I remember that the thunders were coming, and there were times of they were like there was a lot of thunder beings, and I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, I won't have time because I was doing something, and I know that I'm supposed to offer my tobacco, but oh my gosh, just a second, and so here I am, I'm I'm saying, okay, now, and there they are. And finally, it got to the point where I was able to offer my tobacco, to the thunders. And and as soon as I offered my tobacco to the thunders, what I saw was it amazed me, and it will always amaze me, because what I saw was the thunder beings, and they had these long staffs, long tall staffs. And what they did was they were going boom, and there was more than one of them. They were kind of walking in a line, boom, boom, and as they would hit their staff, and that thunder being turned around to me and goes, "Thank you," and it said thank you in English. And so sometimes I get a little bit like I don't know how to say it, but sometimes people say, "Oh, the spirit speaks in language, and you have to know your language." But I'm telling you that spirit speaks to me in the language that I know and that I understand. And when that thunder being turned and said thank you, all I can say is I was just like, wow. I was so, and it put me in such a powerful, good space that I thought they really do. Well, they really do like hear our prayers. They really do accept our tobacco, and so the water plays a very important part, other than the fact that we come from water, our bodies are made of water, we're connected to water in such powerful ways, more ways than I have time to tell you, in this short little time that we've had together. But that's important, why that's one reason why it's so important to take the time to just give your thanks to all of creation. It's that time when no matter what's going around you, when that rain, that soft gentle rain, when you put your head up and that soft gentle rain washes across your face, wow, doesn't that feel good? When that thundering rain, there are some times when you feel as angry as maybe that water feels. Doesn't it feel time to be part of that power? Doesn't it feel really good? So I'm I'm really glad that we have amalgamation of all of these teachings, because it helps us. It helps us in a way that maybe we weren't even expecting or thinking about. But I think we all enjoy sharing, because we know from experience, and we as grandmothers, of course, we're related and everything. Like Marsha's my cousin, Renee, of course. Well, everybody knows we travel the world together, and me and Marsha travel the world together, and we have all traveled the world together. And wow. And so we get to share this with you, because maybe you can't, maybe you're not able to enjoy, but the stories you can listen to, and you can make them part of of something good that you feel. And so, the next time that you have them waters, just feel that love, feel the blessings that you receive from them. So we're just getting ready to close up our hour, and we will be back the second week of March, the second Friday of March, in order to continue on with this series, because as we go through our cycles, wow, we get so empowered with so many wonderful teachings, and we hope you stay tuned and want to share yours as well. So Nyawagoa, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we welcome. I don't know about comments or questions or different things that we may have had, but I'm just saying it's such a good feeling to be able to be here tonight with you all. So
Yep.
Jen,
Miigwech, Gail,
yeah,
and Renee and Marsha, so much for sharing your teachings tonight. And I thought I would share a couple of the comments from the chat that people are saying, thank you all for all you do to help bring love to our community and the world. Thank you, and we're grateful to sit with you this evening. There were two questions. Someone asked, I know this was when Marsha was talking, she was asking about what a sweat lodge bundle was. And somebody also asked Grandmother Gail, would we bring tobacco and offer a gift to the waters or land near it, when you were talking about this time of the water? And I see you all nodding your heads.
yes,
And just one more comment, a couple more. Michelle said that she loves Niagara Falls and she feels so energized and well after being there. And now she knows why. So it's time for a walk there this weekend. And it was funny, right before you mentioned about how the teachings, how people can take these teachings who don't have access in their community. Someone had shared how much they appreciate that because they don't have a circle to join with grandmothers in their community. So they're saying there's so many miigwetches and Yawans, health, happiness, and hugs. So
Yay.
miigwetch on behalf of everyone.
Hey, if somebody has a question they want answered, they can always put it in the chat below the live feed on Grandmother's Voice, and I'll check them afterwards, and we can maybe respond to them that way.
Sure, and that's where they will be.
Okay.
So thank you, everyone, on behalf of Grandmother's Voice for tuning in, and we'll see you in March and at many of our other events.
Yes.
Miigwetch, Bamapi.
Nyawago. Yeah.
Namapi, Nyawa.
Yeah.